Travis Kane, a rugged Yellowstone photographer, was adjusting his lens when he saw it. A tiny gray wolf cub swept into the raging Snake River. The pup's desperate cries cut through the roar of icy water. Without thinking, Travis plunged in. The current clawed at him, rocks slamming his ribs. But that small, terrified face kept him fighting. As he grabbed the cub, he felt its tiny heart pounding against his chest. What Travis didn't know, the pack was already watching, and their reaction would defy every law of nature. Wildlife photographers live by one rule: never interfere. But when Travis saw that tiny paw vanish under the rapids, his humanity overrode his training. He dove into the freezing water, his camera abandoned on the bank. The cub, weak, waterlogged, latched onto his jacket like a lifeline. Travis's muscles burned as he fought the current. Behind him, a low growl rumbled through the aspens. The alpha female, Luna, stood at the river's edge. Her golden eyes locked onto the man holding her pup. This wasn't just a rescue, it was a test. Gasping for air, Travis stumbled onto the shore, the shivering cub still clinging to him. Then he froze. 6 adult wolves emerged from the trees, Luna in the lead, her mate, Thor, flanking her. Travis knew wolf packs didn't tolerate intruders. He braced for attack, but Luna did something unimaginable. She lowered her head. Not in aggression, in acknowledgement. The other wolves mirrored her, forming a silent circle around Travis and the cub. In that moment, the old photographer understood this wasn't a threat. It was a wild kind of thanks. Little Leo, the runt of Luna's litter, had been playing too close to the river when the bank gave way. Now, soaked and trembling in Travis's arms, he whimpered for his mother. Luna stepped forward, her nose twitching as she sniffed her pup, then the man who saved him. Travis held his breath. One wrong move could trigger instinct, but Luna simply pressed her forehead against his. A wolf's ultimate sign of trust. The pack relaxed. And Travis Kane, a loner who'd spent years documenting nature, became part of it. Travis had filmed wolves for a decade, but always from a distance. Today, fate pulled him into their world. As he handed Leo back to Luna, the alpha female did something Travis would replay in his mind for years. She chuffed a soft, motherly sound directly at him. Then the pack parted, clearing a path to Travis's gear. Staggering with exhaustion, he realized they were escorting him. Not as prey, but as one of their own. The camera he dropped? It had recorded every second. And the footage would stun the world. The Snake River's spring melt was merciless. Travis, chest deep in the churning water, barely dodged a submerged log, but it grazed his shoulder, sending white-hot pain down his arm. Leo, the cub, yelped as a wave slapped them both. Travis tightened his grip. "Hold on, little one," he gritted out. Just feet from shore, his boot caught on a rock. He went under, the icy water stealing his breath. Then, a strong pull. Luna had waded in, gripping his sleeve in her teeth. A wild animal, saving her pup savior. Travis's legs gave out as he collapsed onto the bank. Leo still curled against him. Then a shadow fell over them. Thor, the pack's 150-pound alpha male, loomed above. Travis closed his eyes, waiting for the end. But Leo wriggled free and licked the giant wolf's muzzle. Thor's ears twitched. Then, impossibly, he lay down beside Travis. His warmth a stark contrast to the freezing river. The message was clear. This man is under our protection. Rangers would later call it the most extraordinary interspecies truce ever witnessed in Yellowstone. When the log struck Travis's head, everything went black. He woke to a rough tongue licking his face. Not Leo, but Luna. The alpha female was dragging him onto the rocks, her pups watching wide-eyed. Travis's camera, still recording, captured it all. The wolf's gentleness, the pack's vigilance. As his vision cleared, he saw why they'd rushed. Downstream, a grizzly lurked, drawn by the commotion. Luna had saved him twice. And now, as the bear retreated under the pack's united glare, Travis understood. In the wild, kindness echoes. Back at the ranger station, Travis replayed the footage in stunned silence. There it was, Luna bowing, the pack forming their honor guard. Even Thor's unexpected gentleness. Dr. Natalie Pierce, a wolf biologist, choked up watching it. "This isn't just instinct," she whispered. "It's gratitude." When the video went public, skeptics called it a hoax, until Luna's pack was spotted again years later, allowing Travis to approach their new litter. Proof that in Yellowstone's untamed heart, even predators recognize a hero. Shivering in his wet clothes, Travis finally reached for his camera and froze. A new danger emerged from the trees. A mountain lion, drawn by the scent of blood from Travis's injured shoulder. The wolves tensed. Luna stepped between Travis and the threat, her lips curling into a snarl. Then, in a move that defied science, Thor charged. The big cat fled. Travis, shaking with adrenaline and cold, met Luna's eyes. Shivering in his wet clothes, Travis finally reached for his camera and froze. A new danger emerged from the trees. A mountain lion, drawn by the scent of blood from Travis's injured shoulder. The wolves tensed. Luna stepped between Travis and the threat, her lips curling into a snarl. Then, in a move that defied science, Thor charged. The big cat fled. Travis, shaking with adrenaline and cold, met Luna's eyes. She blinked slowly, a wolf's version of a smile. The message was clear: you're safe now. Your family. Travis collapsed onto the muddy bank. Leo still clutched to his chest. As his vision cleared, he saw them 6 full-grown wolves emerging from the golden aspens. Luna stood at the front, her piercing yellow eyes locked onto the human holding her cub. Travis's breath caught. This was how he'd died, drowned and mauled in the same afternoon. But then, the alpha female did something extraordinary. She lowered her massive head, not in attack, but in what looked like respect. The other wolves followed suit. Travis Kane, a man who'd spent his life documenting nature, was about to become part of it. The pack parted as Luna slowly approached, her paws silent on the pine needles. Travis could see every detail, the scars on her muzzle, the way her shoulder muscles tensed. He closed his eyes, waiting for the bite that never came. Instead, he felt a warm puff of breath on his face. Luna was sniffing him, smelling the river water, the fear, and something else, the scent of her cub on his clothes. Then came the unthinkable. The wild alpha female licked Travis's cheek once, gently, before turning to examine little Leo. In that moment, a bond was formed that would change both their lives forever. Every wildlife textbook says the same thing: predators don't feel gratitude. But textbooks never met Luna's pack. As Travis sat frozen on the riverbank, something miraculous unfolded. The wolves didn't attack. They didn't even growl. Instead, they formed a loose circle around him and the cub, not trapping them, but protecting them. The youngest female, Kia, even brought Travis a stick, the same way wolf pups playfully offer gifts to their elders. Dr. Natalie Pierce would later study this footage for months, calling it the most profound example of cross-species understanding ever recorded in Yellowstone. When little Leo whimpered, weak from his ordeal, Luna did what any mother would do: she rushed to comfort him. But then she did something no scientist had ever documented. After nuzzling her cub, she turned to Travis and repeated the gesture. Her massive head butted gently against his shoulder, just as she'd done with Leo. The message was clear: this human was now part of her family. The other wolves watched in silence as Travis, tears mixing with river water on his face, reached out a shaking hand. Luna allowed his fingers to brush her fur, a sacred trust between species. In all his years tracking wolves, Travis had never witnessed this behavior. Luna stood before him, then slowly lowered her entire front half to the ground, her chin touching the earth. The other wolves immediately did the same. It's a submission display, Dr. Pierce would explain later, but not out of fear. This was deliberate, the pack showing respect to someone who'd saved one of their own. Travis, overwhelmed, instinctively mirrored the gesture, bowing his head. When he looked up, Luna was watching him with what could only be described as approval. The old photographer had been accepted into the most exclusive family in Yellowstone. Then came the moment that would make wildlife history. Luna stepped forward and began grooming Travis's rain-soaked hair with her rough tongue, the same way she cleaned her own pups. Travis sat perfectly still as the alpha wolf tenderly tended to the human who'd saved her child. "This changes everything," whispered Dr. Pierce when she saw the footage. "We've always known wolves were intelligent. But this is emotional intelligence. This is gratitude." The other wolves took turns sniffing Travis, their tails wagging slightly. Even Thor, the massive alpha male, gave Travis's hand a careful lick before moving away. As the afternoon light faded, something extraordinary happened. The wolves didn't leave. Instead, they settled around Travis in a loose circle, Luna closest, with Leo curled against her side. The young female, Asha, stretched out near Travis's feet. It was the wolf equivalent of a family picnic. Travis, who'd spent a lifetime alone in the wilderness, suddenly understood what it meant to belong. I wasn't a human to them anymore, he'd later tell reporters. I was just part of the pack. That night, under a sky full of stars, Travis Kane slept surrounded by wolves, and safer than he'd ever been in his life. At dawn, Travis knew it was time to go. But the wolves had one final surprise. As he gathered his gear, Luna and Thor took up positions on either side of him. The others fell in behind. Together, they walked through the forest, not chasing Travis away, but escorting him. Every few yards, Luna would pause to make sure he was following. When they reached the edge of their territory, the pack stopped. Luna gave Travis one last look, that same unreadable golden gaze, before turning back to the wild. Travis stood there for a long time, watching his unlikely family disappear into the trees. But little Leo wasn't quite ready to say goodbye. The cub broke from the group and trotted back to Travis, his tail wagging like a puppy's. With a soft whine, he nuzzled Travis's muddy boots, then looked up with those impossibly big eyes. Travis knelt down, tears in his own eyes now, and stroked the cub's head one last time. "Be safe, little brother," he whispered. Then Leo turned and bounded after his family, stopping just once to look back. That image, the tiny wolf pausing at the tree line, would stay with Travis forever. Not just a photograph, but a living memory of the day two worlds touched. When Travis showed the footage to Yellowstone's head ranger, the man's coffee cup hit the floor. This can't be real," he stammered. But the video didn't lie. There it was, clear as day, wild wolves treating a human like kin. Dr. Natalie Pierce spent months analyzing every frame. "We've underestimated wolves for centuries," she concluded. "This proves they're capable of complex emotions we never imagined." The story went viral, touching hearts worldwide. But for Travis, it wasn't about fame. It was about that perfect moment when man and beast looked into each other's eyes and saw not predator or prey, but family. 3 springs passed before Travis saw Leo again. Now a full-grown alpha male, the wolf stood tall at the edge of the clearing. Travis held his breath, then Leo did something extraordinary. He chuffed, the same sound he'd made as a cub. The pack watched as Leo approached, sniffing Travis's boots before playfully nipping at his sleeve, just like old times. Wildlife experts were stunned. Wolves don't remember humans after years apart, they claimed. But Leo's joyful prance proved otherwise. Some bonds, it seemed, even time couldn't break. Luna lived to a remarkable 14 years, ancient for a wild wolf. In her final winter, Travis found her waiting at their old meeting spot. Weak but alert, she placed one paw on his knee and stared into his eyes with unsettling intensity. She wasn't saying goodbye, Travis realized. She was teaching. When Luna passed that night, her lesson lived on. Wild creatures understand far more than we credit them for. Her trust became Travis's mission to show the world that wolves aren't monsters, just families like ours. Dr. Natalie Pierce's hands trembled as she analyzed Luna's behavior frame by frame. "This isn't just instinct," she murmured. The alpha's deliberate eye contact, the pack's coordinated escort, all pointed to one shocking conclusion: wolves choose kindness. Peer-reviewed journals initially rejected her paper. But when Travis's footage aired on National Geographic, even skeptics couldn't deny the truth. By 2023, Yellowstone's wolf management policies shifted, all because one pack rewrote the rules of animal intelligence. Locals started calling Travis Wolf Brother, a title he earned every spring. Like clockwork, he'd return to the rendezvous site, and like magic, Leo's pack would emerge. Not to hunt, but to visit. They'd lounge nearby as Travis set up his camera, their pups curiously sniffing his tripod. Rangers confirmed, no other human could get within 500 yards. "They remember his scent," Dr. Pierce explained. "More than that, they remember his heart." For Travis, these reunions weren't research. They were coming home. The scar on Travis's shoulder still ached in cold weather, a permanent reminder of that fateful day. But the deeper marks were invisible. How Leo's pack had healed his loneliness. How Luna's trust made him a better man. Now 68, Travis spent his days guarding their legacy. "Wolves saved me as much as I saved Leo," he'd tell wide-eyed tourists. Behind him, the aspens whispered secrets only he understood. Somewhere in those woods, a gray muzzle lifted at the sound of his voice, and an old wolf remembered. 5 years after Luna's passing, Travis hobbled back to the riverbank on aching knees. He didn't expect them to come. But at dusk, Shadows moved between the trees. Leo, now silver-muzzled, leading his own grandchildren. The old wolf limped forward, his cloudy eyes brightening as he caught Travis's scent. What happened next defied all logic. Leo lay down at Travis's feet, resting his head on the man's boots just as he'd done as a cub. The message was clear. I never forgot you. Even the hardened park rangers wept. At 8 years old, Leo ruled his pack with quiet strength. But when Travis appeared, the mighty alpha became a pup again, rolling in the grass, stealing his hat. Their bond protected Travis in ways science couldn't explain. Once, when a bear stalked too close, Leo's pack formed a bristling wall between them. They think he's theirs, marveled Dr. Pierce. Travis knew the truth. In the wild's harsh calculus, kindness created its own currency. And Leo, he always paid his debts. It happened in a heartbeat. Travis slipping on icy rocks, his head aimed straight for a boulder. But Luna was faster. Her powerful body collided with his, knocking him safely aside. The alpha female then stood over him, snarling at the cliff edge as if scolding the earth itself. Travis's camera captured it all. The concern in her eyes, the way she nosed his chest to check for injuries. When he finally sat up, Luna licked his forehead once, then marched off, tail high. Some debts, it seemed, even wolves kept score of. New rangers hear the story their first week. How a photographer and a wolf pack rewrote Yellowstone's history. Some don't believe it until they see the footage. There's Travis, drenched and shaking, surrounded by wolves who should have torn him apart. Instead, they're touching him. Luna grooming his hair, Leo curled in his lap. That's not animal behavior, one rookie whispered. Veteran ranger Hank Cooper just smiled. Sure it is. Just not the kind we're used to seeing. When Dr. Pierce presented Travis's footage at the Global Wildlife Summit, the room fell dead silent. Hardened scientists wiped their eyes as Luna bowed to Travis, as Leo nuzzled his old friend. The Q&A session ran 3 hours over time. This forces us to reconsider everything, admitted a former wolf opponent. Back in Yellowstone, Travis just chuckled. He'd always known the truth. Wolves weren't just smart. They had souls. And sometimes, if you earned it, they'd let you see inside. As Travis packed his gear to leave, Luna did something unexpected. She trotted to her den and emerged with a small bone, a prized possession. Gently, she laid it at Travis's feet, nudging it forward with her nose. It's a gift, Dr. Pierce later explained, something wolves only do for pack members. Travis, overcome, pocketed the bone, now his most treasured souvenir. That simple act of generosity from a wild predator shattered every assumption he'd ever held about the animal kingdom and himself. Even Travis doubted his memories until he reviewed the footage. There it was, undeniable. Luna's deliberate eye contact. The way Thor stood guard as Travis rested. Little Leo sharing his meal with the human. Frame by frame, the truth became clear. These wolves hadn't just tolerated him. They'd chosen him. We always say animals act on instinct, mused Dr. Pierce, but this was something deeper. This was love. The video proof silenced every skeptic and changed Travis's life forever. Travis never photographed wildlife the same way after that day. Where he once saw subjects, he now saw souls. His camera captured something new, the way elk mourned their dead, how ravens played in snow, the gentle way wolf mothers disciplined their pups. Luna taught me to see, he told audiences. His best-selling book, Through Wolf Eyes, sparked a movement. Retirees flocked to Yellowstone, not for trophies, but for moments of connection. All because one old photographer learned the language of the wild and found himself understood. The greatest twist came 15 years later. Travis, now gray-haired, sat by the same riverbank where it all began. A rustling in the brush, and out stepped a young wolf, Leo's great-granddaughter, carrying something in her jaws. She dropped it at Travis's feet, his own long-lost hat, lost on that fateful day decades prior. The message was unmistakable, we remember. As the wolf licked his wrinkled hand, Travis laughed through tears. Some stories don't end. They just continue. Pure luck saved Travis's footage. His abandoned camera had kept recording, batteries dying just as the wolves led him to safety. Divine intervention, church groups called it. Serendipity, argued scientists. Travis knew better. Luna wanted the scene, he insisted. The video's global impact proved him right. Wolf hunting permits plummeted. Sanctuary donations soared. And in a Virginia nursing home, a 92-year-old woman watched the footage and whispered, "Now I know animals wait for us in heaven." Sometimes the right moment finds its witness. Neurologists studied Luna's brain scans after her natural death. Nothing unusual. Geneticists found no special markers. Yet her actions defied all explanations. Why groom a human? Why escort him safely? We may never know, admitted Dr. Pierce. Travis had his own theory. That day by the river, he hadn't just saved a cub, he'd passed some invisible test. Wolves, he believed, recognize goodness when they see it. And sometimes they choose to honor it. When the legendary primatologist viewed Travis's footage, her reaction stunned the room. She wept. "This is what I've always known," she said softly. "We aren't the only beings with emotions, with morals." Her endorsement silenced critics overnight. Goodall even visited Yellowstone, sitting quietly with Travis as Leo's pack lounged nearby. "You've given the world a gift," she told him. For Travis, no Pulitzer Prize ever meant more than those words from his hero. Researchers debated for years. Was Luna's behavior gratitude? Maternal instinct? Something beyond human labels? Travis stopped caring about definitions. What mattered was the truth he'd lived. That cold afternoon, he'd witnessed a miracle. Not the dramatic kind, but the quiet sort where fear gives way to trust, where strangers become family. Every spring until his death at 79, Travis returned to that riverbank. And every spring, wolves came to greet him. Travis spent his final years documenting subtle cues we'd missed for centuries. The way wolves smiled by squinting. How bear cubs giggled during play. His Gentle Giants documentary series revealed what Luna had shown him. Predators speak, if we learn to listen. The films became required viewing in biology classes worldwide. But Travis's favorite review came from a 7-year-old. The wolves weren't scary. They were just family with fur. Exactly. On Travis's simple headstone in Yellowstone's Memorial Garden, just one phrase. He learned their language. Nearby, park rangers often find wolf tracks circling the site. Some say it's coincidence. Others know better. For Leo's descendants seem to remember, generation after generation, the human who became pack. And on quiet mornings, when mist rises off the Snake River, old-timers swear they see shadows moving together, one upright, others on 4 paws, walking into the sunrise as they did decades before. At age 11, ancient for a wild wolf, Leo made one last journey to Travis's cabin. His breathing labored. The old alpha laid his head on Travis's porch step. Travis sat with him all night, stroking his graying muzzle as dawn painted the mountains pink. With a final sigh, Leo was gone. Rangers wanted to remove the body, but Travis insisted. Let his pack mourn. For 3 days, wolves came singly and in pairs, nuzzling their fallen leader and gently licking Travis's hands. Even in death, the circle held. Now 82, Travis needs a cane to walk the old path. But every June he returns. And like clockwork, they come, Leo's descendants, their golden eyes gleaming through the aspens. The current alpha, a female named Hope, always brings her newest pups to meet him. They're teaching the next generation, Dr. Pierce observes. Travis just smiles as fuzzy cubs tug at his shoelaces. Some bonds don't fade. They simply change hands. Or pause. It was an unplanned shot. Travis's trembling hand clicking as Luna groomed him. The image went viral. Man and wolf forehead to forehead, eyes closed in mutual trust. National Geographic called it the portrait of our century. But for Travis, the power wasn't in the fame. It was in the hundreds of letters from grandparents who'd reconsidered wolves, from veterans who found solace in the story. Luna didn't just save Leo, he'd say. She saved people too. That single rescue created ripples beyond imagination. Wolf protections strengthened nationwide. Rewilding projects gained momentum. Even Travis's old critics became conservationists. He showed us their hearts, said a former hunter turned sanctuary owner. At Yellowstone's 150th anniversary, Travis, hobbling but proud, cut the ribbon on the Luna Educational Center. Behind him, distant howls echoed through the valley. Some said it was coincidence. Travis knew better. Travis's last public speech moved thousands to tears. We don't preserve nature because it's useful. the old man rasped. We preserve it because it's family. As he spoke, drone footage played showing Hope's pack, with one pup curiously carrying a bone in its mouth, the same way Luna had decades before. The crowd erupted, but Travis just nodded toward the screen, whispering, "See? They remember." Researchers still analyze the glance, that split second when Luna first locked eyes with Travis on the riverbank. Her pupils dilated. His breath caught. In that millisecond, says Dr. Pierce, two species understood each other. Slow-motion footage shows the precise moment Luna's ears relaxed. "Wolf 4, I trust you." Travis always said it differently. "That's when the wild let me in." It wasn't the rescue that convinced scientists. It was what happened after. As Travis turned to leave, Luna deliberately stepped into his footprints, matching his stride. Then little Leo did the same. Mirroring is profound social behavior, Dr. Goodall noted. They were saying, "You walk with us." To this day, park guides show visitors how wolf tracks still overlap human ones on that sacred stretch of shore. Travis passed peacefully at 84, his bedside table holding Leo's collar and that nod-bone gift. Per his wishes, no funeral was held. Instead, thousands gathered at the river at dawn. As sunlight hit the water, Hope's pack appeared on the far bank. For 5 minutes, they howled together, a sound that raised goosebumps across the crowd. Then, as silently as they'd come, they vanished. The message was clear: some love stories don't need endings. What Travis stumbled upon wasn't just wolf intelligence. It was their capacity for grace. The way Luna's pack adopted injured eagles. How Leo once herded lost hikers to safety. "We thought dominance drove nature," muses Dr. Pierce. Turns out, so does compassion. Travis's accidental footage opened humanity's eyes to the quiet kindnesses thriving in the wild, if only we're humble enough to see them. The closing shot says it all. Travis's wrinkled hand stroking Hope's muzzle, their eyes reflecting the same golden sunset. No words, just the whisper of aspens and distant wolf song. This wasn't a wildlife documentary. It was a love letter to connection itself. So if you've ever doubted whether wild hearts can recognize our own, just hit play. The proof is waiting.